You crazy mother.
Welcome to the official podcast of the Brewmasters Club, Craft Brews and Geek News. Sit back, pour yourself a pint, and let's get into it. Now here's the founder of the Brewmasters Club and your host, Donnie Gallagher.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Brewmasters Club podcast. This is Craft Brews and Geek News. My name is Donnie, and we are sitting here today at Brew. I'm joined today by 3.5 of my good friends. First off, Mr. Lossman, how are you today?
Woohoo! Yeah, doing quite well.
Okay. Ryan, how are you?
He sounds like he's still like at home, like coming through the podcast.
It's fine. That's fine.
Brew Boy 1-3 in the house. How's it going, guys?
And that sultry voice you hear is Miss Ashley.
Aw, thanks, you guys.
Is sultry a compliment? I hope it is.
I think so.
I don't
think
know.
it's sexy.
Depends on how you spell it.
I'll be told sultry.
All right, so we are sitting around a table with 10 beers in front of us, and we are trying something brand new. This is a different cast here this evening, and we're going to see how it works. So we've got microphones all over the table, and cell phones, and cords, and we're going to try and make it work. But good news, it's okay. No,
Like the Stone Age of podcasting.
something like that. I don't know, Stone Age, like we're mobile.
That's
right?
true. We are
Yeah, it's
mobile.
mobile
We are
technology.
mobile technology.
We're moving.
Yes.
Pretty big deal.
So we're gonna just try this out and see what happens. But anyways, like I said, we were at Brew. Ryan, you've mentioned Brew a couple times. Brew is the growler fill bar.
Yes, it is.
So
yeah.
it's small, run by 2 people, got
Pretty
bunch of
much.
tap.
Yeah.
How many beers they have here?
So they've got 12 beers on tap, and then they save the other 2 for the kombuchas and the nitro coffee, which the Ashley really enjoys.
Cold brew coffee?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But everybody can come in, fill their growlers up, or you can have a nice pint, or you could do a nice flight like we've got going on here.
Awesome.
It is. I've said it a dozen times. It's like a cozy nook. You have 2 tables, about 12 bar stools, and then a refrigerator or a walk-in cooler, 2 bathrooms, and that's it. I mean, it's just a real small place, but it's
Now,
nice.
Here's the real question.
Oh, the real question.
Past tense. You could have said brewing. Could have. There's a lot, you know.
I think it has to do with the spelling. It's
Okay.
B-R overscore U.
So, well, you guys have heard of the Grand Cru. Donnie, I know you
Grand
have.
Cru, yeah.
It's a spelled with C-R-U. In a lot of different variations and different makes of it, so why not have it? And something different, it catches the eye, it's shorter. I don't know if that
Catches
makes
the
it.
U.
Yeah, catches the U.
I think even down to their branding, personally, I love everything about the branding. They have like a growler that's got the Florida, then it has all these hops filled in it, but then it has these hiding little like seagulls, alligators. I just love, I really love this place.
No, not this one, but there is one that has it.
I can always
And you know,
discuss it later.
Christian, which maybe we could talk to later.
Yeah.
You know, it'd be great to come up or to ask him about how he came up with the name and why he wanted to call it Brew.
Yeah,
so
well, I
stay tuned
definitely
for
could
that.
have. If we can get a mini tour as well.
Yes, that'd be awesome.
And then we brought a bunch
Mini
of
tour.
growlers. We brought a bunch of growlers to fill up too. So, all right. So as we normally start off, our famous segment, what are you drinking? What are you going to drink? Of course, who wants to start? Ryan, why don't you start us off with some of the beers we have here?
Yeah, definitely.
And we can kick it off because we are the Brewmasters Club.
So
we talk about popular geek culture, craft brews, and support places like Brew, which is why we're here this evening. So Ryan, kick us off.
And I've never had this one before. This is the Red Eye Amber Ale from Tampa Bay Brewing Company.
Okay.
Here, local to Tampa. Not too far either, from right around the corner.
Okay. Why don't you go through and introduce them so we can all start and then.
Oh, okay. So we're gonna go and
Selfish
just
bastard.
do it. Oh my bad. All right. So that was the Red Ale.
How was it, Ryan?
It was fantastic, actually. It was really, really good.
Good.
You want me to keep
We all
going with all the rest
enjoyed
of them?
watching you drink it.
I'm
delicious.
ready for
It was
this.
great.
Drink it. Don't taste them all. Just tell us what they
Yes.
are, and
All
we'll
right.
just grab and go.
The next one I've got here is from Hidden Springs. It's their IPA. It's a very good beer, which I've had before, and everybody else hopefully will get a chance to try that.
Hidden Springs is downtown, right?
It's just right outside Ybor and downtown area.
It's on Franklin, right?
Yeah,
It's by
it's-
Eulalys.
Yes.
I know that. Okay.
Yeah, just right outside off 275.
Okay.
Then we've got the Red Cap Imperial Porter. It looks like it comes in about 8.5%. This is from Angry Chair, which I believe is in St. Pete.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on over.
A couple, actually, Angry Chair.
Yeah, I've actually not had a lot of their beers, so I'm looking forward to try that one. And then the 4 Redemption Belgium Quad. So that's coming in at 9.5%, and Last Man I know is going to really enjoy it. It's not like a clear color either. Like a lot of Belgiums are clear. This has a more amber color to it, which is going to be more malt forward.
It's a ginger. Like
So,
Well, we have 4 beers here, so
Yeah.
I want to try the quad. Just
Of course
first.
I do.
And then if you guys want to try, then we'll do the second flight.
Absolutely.
We can do the second flight after.
Oh,
so,
yeah, we can totally do that.
So everybody grab one, I guess.
Sure.
I've already had the amber, so I want to move on to this Imperial
Oh.
Porter. Oh, okay.
Sorry.
You still got a red
I love the
beer.
IPA.
So while they're drinking, why don't you explain the red, what you thought about it?
I thought it was really caramelly in a good way. Don't get a lot of bitterness from any of the hops, so it's definitely true to the traditional style. Did it perk me up like a red eye from Starbucks? No, but that's okay.
Yeah, that IPA is super delicious. Personally, I think.
The IPA,
This one right here.
are very piney.
Yes, and I really like my things piney.
This Red Cap Imperial Porter is going to be my second beer. I might actually want to take this to Georgia tomorrow.
Really?
Yeah. It's really delicious.
Can we drink and pass? This is
Drink
so
and pass,
awesome.
yeah.
Drink and
We're just
pass.
going around the table.
Sip, pass.
Have you had the Belgium yet?
No.
Okay,
You
that's
gotta
all
try the Belgian.
you.
It's really boozy. That's got to be like 10%.
Right on the money. It looks like 9.5.
I already tried that.
Which one was
I've
this?
already had this.
Ashley's already shit-faced.
Oh, yeah.
I
love the IPA
that's
from Hidden
really
Springs.
piney. That's
It is
very-
piney.
It's very piney.
See,
very refreshing.
I really like my things. I like them piney.
I think I've had.
She likes pricks. What can I say?
Yeah, I should date you.
Dating, married, whatever, same thing. Side note to this, whilst you guys are sampling, I did get a pint of the Morning Glow Blonde Ale from Swamphead out in Gainesville. Love this beer. We might actually be stopping in on the way home Sunday from Georgia, so maybe.
Oh, Swamphead, yes.
Maybe.
Yes.
We'll see how the time goes.
What'd you think, Les?
Uh,
Have you tried them all yet?
I've tried all of them except for that one.
That one's yum.
Yum. Which one is that one?
That's the Imperial Porter.
Yeah.
That's
Yum.
on deck, but the quadruple? Is that one quadruple?
The quadruple's all yours.
Well, the quad, it's got an interesting coffee overtone.
Does it? Actually, I haven't had it yet.
I don't
See, you said coffee?
coffee. Yeah.
See,
That
I
was
almost
the
get
show.
barrel aged. When I know it's not,
It is, yeah, it is.
but I almost get barrel.
Very
And that's a
boozy.
turnoff. It's very boozy.
It's oaky. That's what I don't like.
For me, that's a turnoff. I don't really like the flavor of barrel stuff. I don't.
I don't either.
No.
I don't like the oak, but I
It's
really
like
like
that
the
one.
IPA. I like the red. What did you say? I'm sorry.
So it looks like that was mine.
That one's all you, but you got to try the porter.
See, I like the porter.
Porter's great. You mean the Belgium?
No, the porter.
Porter's great.
Yeah, the Belgium again, way too. The heaviness. Not even
Yeah.
sure that's yeah,
It's a
see,
good beer.
I think that's kind of yummy.
I feel like there are ways that you can drink craft beer and like notice the differences, obviously, between each styles. I feel like there's also a more traditional feel. Like if you have a Guinness, there's a traditional sort of feel to it. This right here, obviously not a Guinness, brings me to that more traditional side of the craft beer. There's been other,
yeah, I get
you know,
what you're saying.
there was a, what was it, Seven Kings, Silver Kings, something like that?
Yes.
Over in Tarpon Springs.
Yes.
I think it's Seven Kings. I could be wrong. It had a more traditional beer, even though it was craft, whereas the other ones are still like.
Yeah, I get
do you know what I'm
exactly what
saying?
you're
Do you
saying.
feel what I'm saying
Yeah,
there a little bit?
traditionally, I think the red was really
I never
traditional
tried
as
the
well.
red.
Point, yeah.
Yeah, that just tasted
But like that
shit.
normal
Yeah.
beer crisp finish, like if you were to have a Miller Lite or if you were to have a Guinness, it fits into that realm even though it's craft. Because
That
it's made
IPA
by
was
craft.
really good, but
Yeah.
it was very much strong. If people are like, oh, I don't like hops, then I would steer clear from
I love
Oh,
it.
for
I
sure.
love it too.
Oh, me too. Heck yeah.
Pretty good. It does remind me of that little Christmas tree air freshener. Like immediately. I'm like,
yeah.
all right. I'm like, yeah, that's what
We
that
try that
smells like.
again?
That's what that tastes
Well,
like.
it is
Yeah.
Christmas nearly.
Well,
Maybe we should start making like craft beer fresheners for
Yeah,
the
they have
car.
craft beer candles already.
Do they really? And they have craft beer spices too, which I really want to get my hands on. But that's now we digress.
Yeah.
So that was the first set. Very good. And again, this is all local stuff, right? All in Florida.
Yeah, all of these are Florida, and they traditionally get the Florida beers Not just because that's maybe Christian could get into that, but yeah, they definitely just pull from all the local craft beer breweries in Florida.
Like, it's not like Christian's just randomly selecting. He's going there, he's researching, he's handpicking every keg, to really bring something new in every week, every other week. And it's like going to your favorite breweries, but having to taste them at home.
Yeah,
this is a really cool place.
Yeah,
I'm just looking around.
I like the vibes.
It's great.
Small, but it's
Yeah,
really cool.
it is.
Yeah.
It
Well,
is.
and not to date our crowd here, but most of the people in here, you would think would be traditionally like a normal bar. Everybody in here, besides us, is probably over the age of 40.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're here on a Wednesday night before Thanksgiving,
Yep.
having beer.
Eve is if you recall the old wives' tale.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know. I think that's kind of a neat, cool thing to see the older generations getting into craft beer too,
Yeah.
and being fans. So,
What is our second flight
the
here?
next
Let's get on
flight,
with this.
we're going to start from over here and work our way this way. We've got the Three Fates Belgium Triple, which last man, that's all you. Then we have a under duck, which is a light lager.
Oh, you go under the duck.
Yeah.
Oh,
Not over-
I typically
under?
go over.
Over duck.
Yeah.
Chuck was barrel right through him. Sorry.
Followed by the Cigar City White Oak Highlight IPA, which is a fan favorite all across the board, and the Gingy Imperial Porter,
Ooh, I know what he's trying.
Get it,
I
love.
want to do.
which it does have a little bit of a red look to it.
Like the
So
beer.
I think I'm gonna like the white oak, but I want to try the underduck since I made a comment about it.
honey, why don't you try the White Oak? Because I think you'll like that. You're up. Triple or
I have to go with the
Gingy?
Gingy.
Okay,
just
I'm going with the
because-
triple first.
Oh, yeah.
I want to try the white oak again because it's been a while since I've tried that from Cigar City.
Oh my!
Wow.
See the difference in those two IPAs. The first
This
one-
Belgium.
Yeah.
This is from the something monks. Something of monks. Barrel of monks? Yeah, barrel of monks.
Yeah.
This is delicious. That
Monks
is
know how to make beer.
that
Okay,
is
so
absolutely
this
phenomenal.
is a total random thing. How, as you just said, how the hell is that an IPA?
And that's an IPA.
And that is like an extreme IPA, and so it's kind of like you're getting the complete broadest ends of each spectrum. We've got the tiniest IPA to like one of the more piney or hoppier.
Well, Ryan thinks
IPAs.
that as
Yeah.
a home brewer. I mean, it's all about dry hopping, adding later, longer.
Absolutely
different
that,
styles.
and then the white oak wood chips that they put into the secondary. Right before they get to where they're going to bottle it, they use a specific white oak chip. I don't know the exact word. I'm sorry,
Right.
but that finishes the flavor. So a lot of things can mute flavors too, but also make it calmer, more smooth. In the same sense what Donnie was saying, if you don't dry hop, you're not going to get that florally, piney
Well, and the aroma
flavor.
is completely different.
Oh,
Like,
for
I
sure.
tasted it and tried the aroma, and that one reeks like pine.
Yeah, it's like two completely different
another thing,
because
too.
they are.
In the beginning of the boil, if you put your hops in, you're gonna get more of the flavors of the hops towards the end of your boil versus doing it at the end. So depending on where these two hops additions or their hop additions were thrown in at, one seems less, but still an IPA. One more florally could have been done at the end of the boil.
Yep.
So
Like, that's goals. If we could ever brew a really
really
light
good.
IPA, that'd be a fun challenge,
And
and
I
I
think it's the
am
wood chips that do that.
for
like you said, the white
sure
oaks.
keeping it down.
Very
well,
good.
we could try throwing the hops in at the beginning and nothing towards the end, and that will be more of
What
a
do you think
tone
about the
down.
red?
I liked it. It actually had a very strong overtone of cinnamon, is what I'm catching.
I'm getting cinnamon and maybe ginger.
Well, I mean, I'm
For
right
the
here.
Gingy?
I have a
The
name.
Gingy
I
Imperial.
I'm
absolutely
thinking
have a
cinnamon and ginger. I mean, that's almost got pumpkin in it.
It kind of tastes like Christmas. Like, it kind of tastes like Christmas.
bit,
Yeah.
Like a boozy Christmas.
Well, it's my Christmas.
Yeah, yes. The Christmas of the month.
It's got a coffee bite for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like a
different.
Miller Lite.
Really?
Is it?
Oh my yes.
All right, so everybody pick two. I call this one.
I haven't even tried the other three.
I want this one, this porter.
That's the underdog. Okay. As we figure out who's drinking what. Ryan, tell us about the fest, because you went to
Yes.
a homebrewing competition
Yes.
over at, was it Market 48? No, this was
Crooked Thumb.
Crooked Thumb.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what was it like, and what was the premise, and how'd you do?
I was overly excited for every day leading up to it. That's first and foremost. I was anticipating how the event would go. I was anticipating seeing the people, loving the beer, getting to meet different people. In the far side of my mind, I was hoping to win, but and I probably didn't sleep very well the night before. But the overall event, I was nervous. You know,
Getting nervous, like, oh God.
we got there and they hooked us up. They let us take the golf cart to unpack the car, which was kind of cool. And we took over the tent where the yoga people were doing their thing. So they
Took over the yoga.
took over the yogis. But it was really neat. And when everybody started flocking to the tent. It was like the busiest thing going on because you could just come in and try different random beers. We were set up next to somebody that had a coconut IPA, which was actually really good.
Really good.
Yeah. And the cool thing was seeing everybody try it and be like, whoa. Like, it was like their eyes had opened up.
Were there any other jalapenos there?
There was no other jalapenos
No,
there. There was, so it was IPA, then coconut IPA, and then there was another IPA, which was a Centennial. So there was a lot of IPAs going around the booth. And so I think everybody got kind of IPA now,
Yeah, right.
to be honest
that
with
happens,
you.
dude.
But when they had mine, because I was first open, it was just the coolest thing, because they take a sip, and they'd be like, whoa.
Because you get the nose.
And I'd be like, there you go.
There
I said, that is the look I was looking for. Like, I got to the point where I was like, that's the look I'm looking for. Because it's so neat to see people with their eyes just lighten up. And so I thought the overall event was really cool. It was a really well done job by the people over there at Crooked Thumb. And I would do it again in a heartbeat, to be honest with you. I'm actually looking forward to my next beer competition to see, just to see people with that look.
Yeah,
That's
that on your shirt.
screw winning.
That's the look I was looking for.
I might actually do that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
like with the droids?
Yeah, and it's just you. Oh, I like that. Yeah, that's solid.
Drinking beer, maybe?
Yeah.
So, that would be, that's really the coolest thing, besides not winning, which, the cool part about it, the guy that did win, his wife came over multiple times to get more of my beer. And at the end of the day, even though he won, he still was like, I want to know who came in second, kind of thing.
Who came in second?
Well, we don't know.
No one's reached out. I told Ryan if he doesn't, I'm going to do it this weekend.
You should.
Nobody
I
knows.
think
If you
we
post the
should.
top 4, it would
Yeah.
inspire other people to want to
For
do that.
sure.
Yeah, and out of, I think it was like 8 or 9 people that did it. I mean, I would have loved to have known, but I
Yeah.
think the reaction was there. And I had people coming up, they were wanting seconds. I had one guy ready to, like, he came over like 5 times for more beer. Probably helped me kick it too, because I ran out of beer.
Right at the end.
Yeah.
Right at the end.
Right at the end, I ran out of beer.
Perfect.
Out of 4 gallons. So, and everybody else had 12 bottles. So I don't know how that happened.
And
but-
like real quick, if I can just add before we move on to something else, was me being a seamstress, being able to have Ryan support me through that journey and watching him see my reaction from customers buying my clothes, I felt like the reciprocated version of how he has felt for me.
No,
and
that's
that
great.
was really amazing.
Except
Like,
he wasn't selling his beer.
no,
Or wearing it.
They were just trying it, but like it was really the coolest
it was
experience.
in their bellies. That's wearing enough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean the feedback was great.
Just started there at least.
Yeah, we had a blast.
Good.
Tried some great
And it was
beers.
neat to have you there to help out. And,
Yeah.
I had a bunch of family support come out
Yeah,
too.
that was it.
And Donnie, thanks for coming through, because a lot of people loved our setup that we had.
Love.
Did anybody else give away koozies?
You have no
Oh,
koozies
you
left.
probably don't have any left. Hopefully you have extras.
I don't think you have any pens left
Probably.
either.
Pens, they weren't for giveaway.
I think they just took them anyway.
What are we supposed to write with?
Yeah.
It's out of control.
I just imagine all the shit I gave you is balled up in a corner.
No,
somewhere.
No,
it's
it's-
not. It's in the trunk.
I didn't
Maybe
get the
it's back
folds
in
of the
freezer.
mat back correctly,
As long
but
as you tried.
yeah, I
The
did
table
try.
setup looked good. I saw your pictures on the Facebook
Yeah.
group, Craft Brews Geek News. If
Well, I had
if you
some-
search that on Facebook, you'll be able to join the group and talk to us about
Yeah.
beers and such. I saw that there. Sorry to cut you off.
No. I forget what I was saying. So yeah,
No, the table looked good.
yes,
But I
the
was-
table looked good.
Good. All right. Well, that sounds like a successful event for you guys.
Yeah.
And Ryan, like I said, we're proud of you that you're taking to this, and that's pretty cool. So.
Yeah.
We're not stopping here. I promise you that.
You got one in the hopper, right? And it's my beer.
We have,
Yeah,
we have two.
Before I go on to that,
Brewing now too.
Crooked Thumb.
Legit.
Crooked Thumb
It's
came
going
over
down.
a couple of times asking me how I brew the beer.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a secret.
Yeah. So when
Because they were asking questions, I was like, well, there's the secret. So,
when Crooked Thumb
and after
wants
that,
to know, you gotta kind of keep it under wraps.
well, yeah, it was neat to see them liking the beer
Yeah,
too. So
that was cool.
that was that's all the feedback I needed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And the night before we came up to brew, and the owner of Wild Rover,
Oh yeah.
he tried Ryan's jalapeno.
Derek.
Yeah, Derek.
The older gentleman.
He
He
stood
came
up,
up
shook
and
his hand, and
he was
it
like,
just
"That's a good beer," and he took some for
Yeah,
his son.
for his son. So it's been a very cool experience, and we are very excited to continue on this journey of.
But
craft
for
beer
for
brewing.
Donnie's birthday,
Yes.
I have fermenting in the secondary now. It's a coconut and lime ale. I tried it when I put it in the secondary, and
I did too.
it's got a little bit of a tart, but then the coconut comes full flavor. So once it gets
I'm
on
hoping
some
it's gonna be
CO2,
perfect. I really am.
once it gets on CO2, well, and Ashley helped me with this
Yeah,
one.
this is the
So
first beer I actually helped.
She was like, let's do
Oh,
some
yeah.
coconut, let's do some lime, let's just put the lime in the coconut.
I
kind
love
of
it.
thing.
I tried.
Mix it all up.
Yeah, I've heard of putting the lime with a coconut several times in repetition, but I've never actually done it myself.
Well, next Saturday, we're gonna all try it together.
That's right, next Saturday's your birthday.
Yes.
So it's going to be fun. I
Yeah.
think people are really going to enjoy it. It actually came in a little higher in ABV than we anticipated.
Saw that.
It's
Yeah,
7.8. I was looking for 4.5, so
7.8.
It's 7.8.
Lord have mercy.
That's good
Yeah.
math right there.
We're all getting twisted.
so
On top
and there's
of
going to be
story
5
too.
gallons of it to go around. So
That underduck is good.
it's nice, right? It's
It's got a really
crisp.
sweet,
The problem is
nice chair, like a vanilla almost.
there's not a lot of craft beer breweries that want to do a lager because they take so long. They take anywhere from 3
6
to 4
months?
months,
Oh, 4 months,
even
yeah.
a little bit
Yeah.
longer to do them right, and you have to
Yeah.
keep them certain temperatures to
Well, you know,
ferment.
Tim Shackton at Eulaley's only does lager. That's all they do. All
Really?
lager.
But
yeah.
see,
I've never been there.
but they also
I
have
heard.
food
So
to
good.
ride out the other
Tim's a good
portion.
buddy.
You know what I mean? Like a lot of craft beer breweries don't. And so they need to service the beer, and they need to refill their beer quickly. A guy like Tim couldn't sit on lagers,
Right.
you know, from Craft Life. He couldn't sit on lagers for a
Yeah,
while
that's it.
because,
Not that Tim.
no, I know, not that
Oh.
Tim.
Yeah,
The other-
no, no.
Yeah, I'm just using
Yeah,
the
yeah.
comparison.
Yeah.
You know, a guy like that
Yeah.
could, if he had a bigger facility and there was a ton of people that he could just constantly give the other beers to while he waited for the lagers
and
to
Eulalie makes,
everything.
I don't know how big their fermenters are, but they're gigantic.
Yeah,
Wow. I had no idea
But-
they brewed.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I
You
didn't
have to
know
check it
that.
out. It's awesome.
We need to
we're gonna go. We are.
Date night.
So
It's expensive, but
I heard, but
she's worth it.
yeah, right.
I like clean
Your
food.
girlfriend that I dubbed. Anyways,
We're back to that stage again.
yeah. So
Been
all right.
demoted.
So that's good. So great work. That's awesome. Very exciting. I guess we can move on to.
Oh, I didn't say about anything about my pumpkin either.
What pumpkin?
I have a pumpkin cranberry cinnamon
Like
nutmeg,
cranberry.
which I'm gonna try to bring a growler, or the other little gallon growler, the baby growler to
Baby.
try.
Baby.
We actually made the pumpkin pie first with the cranberries
That
on the
was
side of it.
Yeah. Minus
That,
the front.
that ugly
Yep,
looking
the big
photo.
old mess.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was like, this doesn't look pretty, but it tastes
No, it
good.
looked like you put a cat in a blender.
Cora loved it. Oh my god, no, that was terrible.
Why am I good?
Cora loved eating just the fixings
Bits of
inside of it. Yeah.
The kitty
But
bits.
so that's fermenting right now.
Just kidding.
Nice, nice.
Just kidding.
No, Jesus. All
I
right.
can't.
So,
Okay.
Anyway,
exciting,
just,
yeah.
yeah, that I'm
Yes.
gonna try to bring some. I
Next
cannot promise,
Saturday.
but I guarantee you, there's gonna be 5 gallons of that
Okay.
on my tap.
So what else I put on the list here to talk about was basically Bell's release calendar for the year. I don't want to go through it all because it's 12 months
There's a
long.
lot of beers,
A lot
yeah.
of beers on
It's a
there.
big calendar.
It's a standard size.
It's fairly large.
But they had a lot of things like a new double IPA. They have double cream stout, which is a sweet stout, which I've only had a few of, and I'm not a super big fan, but I love Bell's, so I'd love to try it out. Hop Solution, of course. Oberon, love it. And now they're making the 5-liter mini kegs of Oberon.
Wow.
Which is sick because you just get thugged on Oberon. They had the Hop Slam, of course, cherry stout. So there's a lot of oldies on here, but a lot of goodies.
Hop Solution sounds good.
Yeah, it all sounds good. We love our Bells, so of course I'm all about it. But we can actually move on. As actually, you can join us back in a second. let's move on to the Geek News section.
Yeah.
Our famous section, as they all are. I keep saying famous section.
I think this is when I get up and go get my beer.
Yeah, right. Typically. Do you need to?
No, I'll be fine.
We haven't been sitting in a growler fill station.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So the first story I had in here was Uber on autonomy. Have you heard about the story?
No.
A little bit. So Uber plans to buy, or has plans in motion to buy 24,000 Volvos. The thing is, they're self-driving Volvos.
Oh.
So, which technology really hasn't even been developed yet. They're in conversation. So, think about it for the first article of our Geek News section here. If Volvo has well, first off, they have perfected or have created a self-driving car, which they're working on currently. Now, what if your next Uber ride is actually going to be an automated car? I think that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, it'd be great.
I mean, are you against the autonomy of vehicles? Or
No, it's cool. I just think, if you haven't seen it at this point, there's a very viral video going on where a man is smoking.
I saw
he's
that.
smoking a pretty
A jibster.
Yeah,
A jibster?
pretty big jibster, and he's just
passing it to no one.
completely reclined and just not paying attention to anything at all.
God.
And it's scary and it's enchanting at the same time to think that might be me someday. Not with the jibber.
With the jibber?
You know what? No. I'm going to go ahead and redact that. But.
I don't. So, if
What?
I got into a driverless Uber Volvo,
We already know what you're going to do.
Right.
If Ashley is part.
well, that's true. Is there cameras?
You've made that very, I'm sure there would be.
But
But you've made your intent very clear, my friend.
just on the few words I've said, I would be freaked out if I was drunk. Which Uber is mostly used? Mostly, I would say. I'm sure there's a strong percentage here by drunk people because it's a safer way to go.
For sure.
Unless you're trying to get to work, but I get there. But
Hey, drunk
I would
people
be
get to work too.
I would be freaked out, and then there would be nobody in the car to like change the radio unless you sat in the front seat. I mean,
Or the radios for the autonomous cars are in the backseat,
that
right? Like you don't
That could
know.
be a great idea.
There's a Yukon that has that now.
So
Yeah.
I'd be a little skeptical. I'd probably let a few years or maybe a
No
year
way,
go
man.
by till they perfect it. Just make sure there's no crashes.
No,
Is
it's
it
gonna
insane?
get right in.
As a
Yeah.
Nintendo Switch owner, I cannot wait for the day that I don't have
Now-
to drive to work.
now you
I
bring
just
up a-
want to be that guy. Just sit there and play my Nintendo
Okay.
all the way to work.
But you bring up a great point. What if there's more of a control that environment where there's somebody on the other end actually remote controlling the vehicle?
No way.
No?
That's not
No
how that
way.
works. Yeah.
That's not how that works.
Yeah.
I meant like I would play my Game Boy while I'm driving.
No,
to
no.
work.
But how cool would it be to actually have a job where you feel like you're playing a video game, but you're actually driving people around town without being
Human
stuck in
error.
traffic?
Yeah, cool.
No?
Human error, no.
Come
I've
on,
seen
guys.
Often, and I would totally jerk the wheel and do a bridge component and be like, "Oh boy, game over." Yeah, like I often text while I
Is it the
work.
little RC remote to the wheel?
You'd be texting and
Well, I'd
driving
be
at
texting
work.
and technically driving somebody else. I'd be like, I'm not texting and driving. That guy is. Like, that guy is.
The point of
maniac.
vehicle autonomy is to avoid human error because of I think human fatalities in cars is like the #1 killer of humans. Like more than cancer or anything else. I believe. I could be wrong on that.
I mean-
but I know it's up there. It's a top 5. For
I
sure.
still think we shouldn't make cars that go 120 miles an hour.
But it's those cars
They
hardly
just
the
let
ones
them go
killing
60.
anybody.
Like, I mean,
It's
you know.
the soccer mom that misses a turn and tries to and cuts off a semi, and then there's a bunch of Argentinians that are dead.
Yeah,
on the
but
road.
like maybe
Oh,
at the
boy.
age, but
Sensitive
like it's just kind of like
You do, soccer
natural
mom.
population control, is it not? When people get into car accidents,
I
like
mean, have you never been in a car
I've
accident?
been into a handful. They suck.
They do suck.
They are scary.
They
I
really,
wouldn't call
really,
it
really suck.
population control. I think
Well,
that's
no,
a
but
bit
like
much.
just
boy.
like
I've
natural.
been in many car accidents.
I have been like 5. It's been terrible.
I think
but,
I've been like 2
mean,
or 3. Yeah. I don't know how
Well-
they haven't controlled this population, but the
No.
human error, taking it out, I think is better. We trust our banking, our stock market, our computers, do everything, our Facebooks, our audio equipment, our video. Let something else be handled by the computer if it can do it.
If it gets perfected, I'm all for it. I mean, maybe there should be like sensors on the side of the road that help.
Like-
Tesla's already doing it.
Yeah, Brian's all about that.
I'm all about
As long as
sensors.
it's perfected, I don't really
Tesla
care.
is
You know.
your beta tester. Because they're
Let them
doing
be
it now.
driven by satellites. I don't care. Just make it safe.
Essentially
You know.
it is.
I personally would love to be pulled over by a police officer and be like, I wasn't driving. Like, it was the car. It was me.
I just
Volvo would
He was on
Volvo.
autopilot.
But wait, he
was
poses
on
a great point.
autopilot.
Will the Volvo know that it's being pulled over?
That's what I'm saying. It's like, Jarvis, are you good, man?
Yeah, you get to drive. Or you been drinking diesel?
Dropping keys on the ground.
Yeah. You been drinking diesel tonight?
Brian can't even make his jokes.
I can just see like red and blue lights. Somebody in the back of the seat, like, pull over, man! It's like.
I'm just
Be cool, man. Be cool.
You're just in the back seat.
That's where it's gonna go wrong. That's what's.
I'd probably just tuck myself into the trunk and be done with it, and I'd be like, home.
I mean,
now,
who has to
boy.
give up their license and registration in that perspective? Like,
Volvo
Just
does.
little robot arms.
Yeah. The Volvo's like, swear I'm cool, bro. Like, don't. Hey, I'm just tired.
I'm not illegal. Like,
I'm just tired. Like,
all right, that gave me a great laugh.
I can't wait for that because it will remove the human piece of that, which I think is the biggest factor that kills people. They're doing it now. I mean, Tesla's doing it now, and like I said, this technology isn't there. The crazy thing is that so Uber's rival is Lyft, right?
Yeah.
And they've already secured a partnership with Waymo, which is part of the Google alphabet. It's the W. Waymo is basically a self-driving car company. That's all they do.
We touched on that.
We
Did we
did,
not?
we did.
A couple
Like
months back, they were doing a
episode
truck
28
or something.
I
Yeah.
thought they were the ones who made the Action League.
Actually,
Whammo, that's a whammo.
Yeah, you guys remember
you called it.
with Stinky Diver.
Stinky
Yeah,
Diver.
and the whole gang.
Oh man, what was that show called?
What is it called? Action League. I mean,
What was the main show of that show?
well, there was like a crappy like song about
Stop
it.
motion,
Yeah,
it
it
was
was, and he was Stinky Diver. He was Australian. He was great. He was, all right, take a dip in there. He was like, it was awesome. It was nice.
Well, all right. So keep tabs on that if you guys want to follow the story. I am supportive of it. Sounds like Ryan's internationally or semi on the fence.
I'm all for it.
I'm all for it.
I mean, I'm down.
My vote is all for it. Just make sure it's safe and make sure nobody gets arrested.
I'll go first.
Mine
Grant.
is
I'll go
first.
first. Yeah, let me go. dude.
Like
Throw me
there's
in
gonna
this.
be a portion on the app. Would you like to contribute $3 to help retain a lawyer in case everyone gets pulled over?
They can, in the event of an accident.
Yes.
If they can squeeze an
I'll
Xbox or
take that.
PlayStation in there, I'm on board. Like,
Which they will. They will, because you have to occupy people somehow, or else they're just going to fornicate in the backseat.
Oh boy. All right.
As long as it's leather, we're clean.
Oh, Jesus. Your car's in there.
Anyway, we
Anyway,
digress.
so that's good. So yeah, follow along. And if you want to keep tabs on the Lyft story too, the Waymo actual company is found online by just hitting up drive.ai, which in itself sounds kind of scary. I don't really like the AI part, but that's all right. We have to have it to get those cars. Anyways, moving on.
Yeah.
I saw a movie a little bit ago.
Uh-oh.
And, yeah, very.
Did you see it?
No, I don't know what movie we're talking about. So.
Doesn't matter because it was old. It's an old movie. I mean, at this point, it is 2 weeks
What is it, an
old.
oldie but a newbie?
No, well, yeah, it was brand new. So it was Thor. We saw Thor. Jenny and I saw Thor, which is great. And I won't ruin it. Be
see
spoiler free. It's been out for 2 weeks, so you haven't seen it. Stop being an asshole and just see it, or don't care about spoilers. But I'm not going to spoil it. The reason I brought that up is because did you guys guess what number that is for Marvel? How many movies they've made now?
Oh. 17.
Exactly right.
Holy crap, really? I didn't even read the
17.
notes.
17. Just put that to put that in perspective. Justice League, which came out this week, Justice League is number 5 for DC.
Wow.
So Marvel's got 12 movies on there, right? Think about it. Like it's a bit of a curve to get back to.
So, just real quick, I'm not very good with this. Batman is DC?
That means DC.
Yep. How many Batman movies are there? Can
Doesn't
we add that
matter.
to the
Not,
count?
not the
They're
Chris
not
Nolan
made by
one.
the-
Not like
We can't add any of that? Okay.
No.
There's
They're all
the
separate.
DCEU, so the DC universe
Done.
basically is
Deal.
its own thing.
That's
The
all I had to ask.
MCU
I just wanted to know.
Kicked off with Iron Man 1. We've been 17 movies now.
Really?
Iron
Yeah,
Man.
they've been
Iron
killing
Man's
it.
number
Wow.
one.
Oh yeah, I love
17
them.
movies in store. We've got Black Panther and then
Bravo.
Infinity War.
That's
coming out
right.
next
Black
year.
Panther previews are
Black Panther-
amazing.
Black Panther's gonna be sick. It really does look good.
Yep.
But the reason we all love superheroes.
I love Marvel.
Who's your favorite?
Iron Man. No, Captain America. I
It
love.
can be DC.
Come back to me.
I
Hold
love
on.
Captain America.
Hands down, Ant-Man.
Ah, did
I
you
haven't
get
watched
big
that
and
show
shrink
yet
at the
on
same
Amazon.
time?
My goodness.
Should I?
No, that's sick. That's
It wasn't sick.
That's not
That's why I'm offended.
I'm so sorry.
It's all right. Ant-Man.
Paul
I'm
Rudd.
not blonde.
Paul Rudd.
You are at the moment.
That's about half.
Depends.
I like,
Technically a
who's
quarter.
the all-powerful guy? The
green one or the purple one?
No. The
We're
one
talking
that
about the blue one?
no, that he can kind of fly and he's like he was a robot kind of thing.
Silver Surfer?
No.
Cyborg?
He's the guy playing with the English accent in the movies.
Oh,
Wow,
that guy.
Ryan.
That
because
guy.
There's a lot of them.
No.
Yes.
Are you talking about the Kingsman?
He's like really powerful too. I like him.
Is he
Oh,
blue?
I see. Vision.
Yes,
Vision.
I like
Yeah.
him.
Yeah, Vision.
Wow.
I like him.
Vision's good one, yeah. I'm
Who do you
I'm
like?
Team Iron Man, I think. But after watching Thor Ragnarok, I'm really pretty much Team Hulk because the Hulk is always like my second favorite because he's the most powerful one because he gets stronger as he gets more angry. So if you hurt him, the more you hurt him, the more strong he becomes, which makes him invincible.
Yeah,
There's a
that's awesome.
comic where him and Wolverine fought one time, and he ripped Wolverine in half and threw Wolverine to two different states. And Wolverine came back together, but the only reason he was able to do that is because Wolverine was agitating so much that he became so powerful that he could actually destroy Wolverine. So,
Wow.
Wait,
it was
dumb
nuts.
question.
Yeah.
Wolverine is Marvel?
Wolverine is X-Men, which is technically Marvel.
Then I
Currently,
take-
the movie rights are owned by Sony and other
Oh,
people.
okay.
So it's
Well, then if that was part of the equation, I would have taken Wolverine.
Wolverine.
Yeah.
Well, it is part of the equation. I mean, it's all X-Men are on the table too.
Okay,
Pick anybody.
I didn't know X-Men were on the table. I was thinking
I love
the
this
Dream Team.
conversation.
Yeah, just pick anyone
Yeah.
other than SpongeBob and you got it.
You got it.
Yeah.
Patrick.
Okay.
But all right. So, anyways, so with the launch of
Mr.
Thor Ragnarok, Marvel's basically crossed the $5 billion mark. So if you remember, Star Wars was purchased for roughly was it $5 billion? I thought it was like
17, wasn't
no,
it?
no. Disney purchased from Lucasfilm. I think it was for
I think
something.
you're right. About
You could do a
$5
quick
billion.
Google search.
Go for it while I'm talking. Whatever it is, $5 billion is what their take is, though. That's huge, and that's just domestically. That's not including the worldwide piece of the movie franchise. So the dollars there are high.
4.5 or 4.05.
Yeah, 4.2. That's what I thought. So close to 5, but man, it's huge. Like I said, just
So
to wrap,
much money.
To wrap up that story, yeah. The MCU is currently sitting at 5,500,000.
Wow.
I can't. It's hard to say that number.
Yeah.
5 billion, 5 million, 500,000. That's awesome.
That number sounds like it has period. Like a couple commas and
Several.
period and then
It's
maybe
got
like,
authority.
Yeah.
Several.
Who's at 5 billion?
A lot of money.
Thor itself only made about 46 million in its opening day. But it's funny because then Justice League, which just came out, made about 96 million in its opening weekend, which is less than
Wow.
the first Batman that came out with the MCU or the DCU or whatever the hell they're calling themselves.
Yeah, yeah.
So Wonder Woman made 110 million. So Wonder Woman made more than the Justice League, which features all of them. So DC's not doing well.
I did love Wonder Woman.
Everybody did. It was a good movie. It was a real good movie, but Batman sucked.
Yeah.
I mean, not Batman, but
Batman vs Superman.
Batman vs Superman.
I didn't think that sucked. I was really intrigued. They just had the wrong actor playing Batman. And
See, I think the only thing they did about that was have the right actor. I think Ben Affleck was a great Batman. I
No.
really think he was.
I do think he was a great Batman, but I don't think that the fans thought he was a great. As a whole, I know they hate. Whoever saw the movie was proven wrong. Like, oh, he made a great Batman, but
Yeah.
in the beginning, I think we even talked about it on the podcast. I was not a fan. I was like, you chose Ben Affleck.
Batfleck.
What I
Batfleck.
didn't like is the movie was
Wow.
chopped up and put together incorrectly. That's what I didn't like.
Oh, I didn't
liked
catch that.
Batman. Superman was really sad and mopey, which I didn't like.
Yeah, it was.
And the darkness and the way they made the movie look was.
You know
not
what?
that
You're
good.
right. There was a lot of sadness on Superman's part.
And he's a very happy guy.
You know what they just need to do to solve everybody's problem? Make
Or
a
the mist
which
stuff?
Give Superman
throw,
LASIK?
no, make a Superman fights Goku movie and all problems
Who
solved.
owns Dragon Ball Z?
That would be a Toriyama.
I thought it was
Kira,
Tokido.
no, Kira Toriyama. But
Okay.
if they, so it's Japanimation, of course.
Right.
But if they were to do that, because everybody makes fan films, you can go on YouTube right now, watch fan films between Goku and Superman. Everybody's got their own take of who would win. But that would be a great movie if it was live action and done right, not like the old Dragon Ball, which we won't get into that. But
Yeah.
I think that would be a great little bridge for Superman to come back out.
I think Dragon Ball is due for a revival. The fan base is strong, and everybody now is our
I
age.
watch it every Saturday night.
Right.
He does.
I believe
It's
it.
interesting.
Dragon Ball Super. I mean, you guys have your own shows, you have your own
Oh,
movies.
boy.
That's my
Not
show.
cuddling with your wife.
Not cuddling with your wife.
You fall asleep before the show comes on.
I
Tis
get
true,
in trouble
tis
playing
true.
Nintendo and when I should
Okay.
be cuddling.
If
Well,
you're
there we
asleep,
go. It's
all
okay.
bets are off. I'm watching Dragon Ball without you. If you can't stay
I
up, I'm
get it,
sorry.
babe. I get it.
But I do think that's due for maybe even like a live, I don't know, live action. It's
They,
bizarre.
well, the first one, not to go too deep, but the first one that Dragon Ball did, it was like Dragon Ball Evolution. Everybody was so excited. We don't even talk about it. Super,
so
or
bad.
the Dragon Ball community will not talk
It was like
about that
some of
movie.
the Star Trek
It
movies.
was terrible. I like Star Trek.
I said some.
See,
No,
this
I
song
liked all
is
three, to be
supposed
honest
love
with you. I mean, it was kind of cool.
Spacer?
Some good,
You
some
talking about
bad.
Spacer?
But
Makes sense to me.
if they did it right, I mean, we have so much technology. If you can see what they did with the Matrix and even Batman
Speaking of
vs Superman.
technology, and because we just talked about Justice League, you know that for most of the movie, Superman actually had a mustache that they CGI'd
Yes,
out.
I saw this.
That movie
Because he's in another
because
movie.
he's the bad guy in Mission Impossible 6.
Yes, and he was told he could not.
Contractually
Yep.
due to Paramount Pictures, he could not shave his mustache.
So they CGI'd his entire mustache off to make it look like his real face, even though it's right there.
I'm for real.
Yes.
And they did that
It's so terrible.
during the months and months that they were doing reshoots. They reshot 90% of the movie because they changed directors. During that time, every time you see Superman, they photoshopped his mustache off.
And this is for the new one
This
coming
is the one
out?
that just came out that made shitty numbers.
Gotcha.
That sucks.
Yeah.
And the first scene of Justice League, which I've seen already.
I thought he looked really
The
clean.
first scene is one of the mustache removed shots, and his face looks like paper and peach mixed
Yeah.
together. It looks really bad.
It's really
It's really bad.
What?
Yeah.
I mean,
That
you
was-
gotta.
Think of the millions that went down the drain for video.
Actually, instead of thinking of the
That's what they
millions,
said. There were millions spent
Millions.
I'd like
on
to
just
think-
covering up his beard.
Mustache.
I'd like to think only
His
of
beard,
the
yeah, everything.
individuals who had to see, like, their job 9 to 5 was like, oh crap, here he is with a mustache again.
Mustache
For
again.
Yeah.
months.
For months.
That's some guys like, God.
Yeah. He's like, dude, can you just shave it? Like, can you
Wow.
just
I
get
want
rid
to
of it?
do a CGI animation with like Last Man's beard covered up.
Well, it looked like Tarkin.
Photoshop.
It looked like Tarkin in Rogue One, where it was just
Yeah,
like
that's
it
right.
didn't look real. It was the uncanny valley. We're close,
Yeah.
but it's still. Anyways,
fakey.
yeah.
So
that movie
terrible.
cost $300 million and made 96 on opening weekend.
That's horrifying.
No, they didn't even
Good.
break even yet.
No.
Now, here's some
Down
good
with it.
news. The new Star Wars film, I don't know if you saw this, is projected to make $200 million opening weekend. I think they can already tell those numbers based on how many people have pre-bought their tickets.
Probably. You're probably.
$200 million
You're
on
like
opening
three
weekend.
men who are sitting
Yeah.
here who have already.
I read that
pre-bought
today and I was like, this is perfect little juicy nugget right here.
That is a juicy little nugget.
tickets. Yeah.
Yeah, that is good. Well, I mean, whatever. But see, Star Wars just has the right combination, so whatever. Anyways, all right. So we're running up to the bar here in terms of time. We have a couple fan questions that we're gonna go ahead and ask you guys. Most of them for you. It's okay.
It's okay.
Off the cuff. Somebody,
Yeah, off the cuff indeed.
Anthony H on Facebook asked, cold crashing, is it useful? Is it necessary? And I actually wanted you to go into an explanation as to what it is.
Yeah.
For anybody that's listening, might be considering homebrewing or brewing themselves that isn't familiar with what it is.
Yeah. No, definitely. So cold crashing serves a purpose of cleaning up the beer after all the fermentation is done. If you've already transferred it to your secondary fermenter, leave it there for a couple days, all of the yeast is going to be a lot more, or a lot less, but you still want to clean up the particles within the beer. So what you do, put it into a very cold environment. My kegerator at home can only go so cold, so I leave it on like the setting 5, which I think is around 40, 45 degrees, somewhere in that ballpark. Not as cold as where you could get it, if you can go a little bit lower, but what it's going to do is make all of everything floating around in there just drop down to the bottom. That way when you take it out, it'll stay pressed down to the bottom, still staying chilled, and it makes it very easy to transfer over into your keg.
Well, I think besides transferring, it also stops the fermentation process.
So yes, because the
makes the yeast
yeast,
dormant.
the yeast, they're killed off. Donnie, you talked about pasteurizing beer at 140 degrees, right? I think that was somewhere in the ballpark. That will pasteurize the beer, killing the yeast off. In the same sense, this will also kill off the yeast because it'll be too cold for the yeast to survive,
Right.
which will stop
Well, it
any
makes it
further
dormant.
fermentation.
I don't think it kills it.
I
You
know
can
they
reuse
do
yeast.
because I think you have to clear the yeast off first before you put in the cold crash. I could be wrong, but it does. There is a temperature that the yeast cannot survive at because there are glycol systems out. I think it's glycol. That should
Just
be the
go
right
with
word.
confidence.
Nitrogen glycol, yeah.
Nailed it.
That will go down to like 10 degrees, and that will kill off everything, right? So it'll kill off the yeast, which stops fermentation, especially when you keg. You don't want your beer continually fermenting.
Right, that's the thing.
We had the perfect example. Unfortunately, one of the beers that were on tap tonight, through the keg, you could see a bunch of yeast build up down the bottom. Probably wasn't cold crashed correctly. Not Brew's fault, not anybody's fault, just came that way. You can see the yeast floating around, so you obviously don't want to, drink up that trub. But totally a great question. Cold crashing will.
We all got hung up on shrubs.
They're gonna have
Yeah,
shrubs. I mean, the sand.
So trub is the bottom, the gunk, all the yeast. If you're not saving your yeast, it's the particles of your unfiltered hops that are down at the bottom. All your particles of your wort that are left over. So definitely
all
cold.
those nasties.
If you can cold crash, go for it. If you can't, hey, it's still gonna be good tasting beer. It's gonna
So
be
you
thicker.
can only do that if you have access to a kegerator,
So
deep freezer, or a
this
fridge.
this is very well filtered, but it's also cold crash because there's nothing in it. If you have a more thick looking beer,
Cloudier. Yep,
it's still cold crash, but it's less filtered, and there's
Which
probably
are primarily your beers, right? You don't cold crash.
I can only cold crash so much.
crash, right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
if I shake it up a little bit, it kind of swirls, but it's better. Yeah.
Well, awesome.
Great question.
Go ahead.
I mean, I'm glad to hear that cold crashing is helpful down here, but up in Canada, it's a real issue. I just want to throw that out there. Just a quick PSA. Don't text and drive.
Oh, wait. Okay, I was wondering where you were going with that.
You like that, huh?
Yeah,
Nice
I
feel.
like the finish.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Next question. Ryan, what is a good minimum for your forced carbonation? What is a PSI that you keep in your
Ooh.
kegerator?
So,
Highs, lows. What have you had bad experience?
great question.
This is from Mike H.
If you're using a corny keg, you obviously want to make sure that your seal is clamped on tight. If you like me and use a Sankey keg, which is more traditional, you're usually good to go. But once you force carb your beer, you want to turn the PSI up to between 30 and 35. That will really help get the carbonation in there. It'll put a lot of pressure on the beer. Leave that for about a day and a half to 2 days. Then turn your nozzle down so that your regulator, is not letting out a lot of CO2. Let out some of the pressure. Get it down between 5 and 10. Now, that's also going to depend on how the type of beer, what temperature it should be cooled at. And if you're at a setting 3, like on a kegerator, you might want to turn it down to a setting 4 or 5 so it's not as foamy. Let out CO2, maybe set it at 5 psi. But what that's going to do is allow your beer to force carb over 2 days. Then you let the CO2 out because, Ashley, when I give you that first sip, it's like really kind of got a lot of CO2.
Time, yeah.
If you try to drink it at a really high pressure, you're going to get more CO2. It's going to kill the flavor.
Yeah.
Well, it's not just foamy.
Oh, really?
You
It
can
changes the
taste-
flavor of the beer. You can almost
Yeah.
taste the CO2.
Yeah.
You don't really want to taste the CO2 in your
Yeah,
beer. You
no,
just want it to be an accent to feel natural. So I serve anywhere, like on Saturday, I was serving anywhere between like 3 and 4 psi because the beer was already carbonated. I just need a little bit of pressure to get that little bit out and not be foamy. If I was going to open her wide for a 16-ounce beer or something, I might have it at 7 psi. So start at 35 for 2 days, crash it down to 7, then you're good to go. Let out the pressure though. Don't forget. Let out the pressure. If you don't let out these hand motions.
If you don't release
great
the
audio.
It
pressure.
sounds like, it looks like he's pulling a pin on a grenade. I mean,
Yeah.
It's kind of like that, actually.
Yeah, well,
You get shot in the
it
face with
really
CO2
A
real
lot like
quick.
this podcast that we can't hear anything at the end of it.
just like a grenade.
So, great question again. Yeah.
Good. All right. Well, that was Mike H. Thank you so much. Have you created an immersion chiller? That's from John PD.
How do you create one?
Have you ever made one or thought on making one?
I didn't make
What
one.
is it?
I bought one.
Okay. Is that's a tube that you put in there?
Yes, there are YouTube videos out there for how to make your own. I found out it's kind of the equivalent cost. If you find the right deal, all it is copper tubing, goes around and around and around, depending on how big your...
That just chills it fast.
Right. Once you're done with your boil, you throw it in there. You have an in, you have an out. The water that comes from your hose spigot goes in. It's really cool. It takes about 15 to 20 minutes to get down to maybe 120. I left my last one in there for another 10. It brought it down to about 100. So, yeah, you can either make one or you can buy one. I spent $50 with free shipping.
Yeah.
It was the equivalent of going to Lowe's and buying copper
Yeah.
tubing, coiling it
Have it
the
already
correct
made.
way, buying tubing then because you need spigot part that fits onto the hose itself. So
All right.
Yeah.
So just buy it. If you
it
can.
saves a lot of time.
Yeah. Yes.
It brings your temperature down. That's the most important part. So
Okay. So the next question is a Star Wars related question. Last Jedi.
oh, you mean I can't answer this one?
You can.
No, I'm good.
I'm just looking at old quad face over here. Do you want to see Lando in The Last Jedi?
Absolutely.
Have you seen Billy D. Williams recently? Because I saw him Star Wars
Lando?
Celebrations here.
Yeah.
Lando's the black guy from
Oh, boy.
Star Wars, the original 2,
Literally the only one.
Oh,
Empire Strikes Back.
okay, gotcha.
All right,
Sorry.
anyways, snap cut.
Yep.
Do you want to see Lando?
Absolutely. Cape and all.
Billy doesn't look that good though.
Doesn't matter.
He looks like a healthy Ray Charles.
That's what CGI is for.
That's true. We can take a mustache off.
Yeah.
You can make him like 40 years younger, I'm sure.
I would love to see it with maybe like a mauve cape this time around, where he's just like a cultured.
Wow, I love that color.
Yeah, he's just
Get
like
it.
cultured, and he's just saying, okay, in real life I may be sponsoring Colt 45, but, which he does because I own the bottle. I have
I've
physical
seen it
proof.
too. Yeah, I've seen it too.
But you know what? Still getting it in the Star Wars realm. So yeah, I would absolutely love to see it. Plus, that would also potentially give some cool overtones for the Donald. Is it Danny?
Yeah.
Donnie?
It's Donald Glover,
Donald Glover.
who was playing him in the Han Solo movie.
Correct. Which I'm very excited for that role.
I love
wanna
Danny
see-
Glover.
I've heard
wanna
he's doing
see-
really well. I heard he's killing it.
I want to see what Lando did when he was a kid,
Yeah.
or a young adult and whatever.
Little smuggler.
Yeah, absolutely. You
Have
to go back and watch these movies.
Freaking Millennium Falcons. I want to see all of that. I want to
supposed to be doing that.
Sabacc table.
Yeah.
Sabacc
Yeah.
I might need to find some friends that have all of the movies to let me borrow them to be.
We can make that happen.
AKA Donnie.
Yeah.
Ashley, you can watch half of them with me.
Yeah, but fall asleep. It doesn't matter if it's a great movie or not. I missed it.
They're good. There you go. All right. That's all the fan questions we have. So I don't know if you guys had any other comments or upcoming stuff that's happening. I know our birthday beer, the the coconut lime, I'm very much looking forward to.
That and the pumpkin.
And the pumpkin.
And just looking for more brewing competitions. Oh, I can't say our buddy Nick from Vetter Brew won
He won.
unanimously with his buddy at a beer competition that was held at Rap City Brewing this past weekend. So shout outs to Nick. He makes fantastic beer. Hopefully you can hook him up with a growler, but
He's a great
that's okay.
man. I truly enjoy
He
his
helps me out with everything. Him and Mike are great.
Yeah.
I've got to start going there because I've never been there.
No,
Just
please.
come in, yeah.
He's just real chill, real down to earth, and he deserves all the credit in the world for his beer. And I hope one day we can go to one of his breweries if he ever opens one up and try his beer. Yeah, just real down to earth, real sweet guy, takes care of everything. So shout out to him.
I have one question.
Yes.
I want to see if we can ask Christian how he got the name brewer. If we have like 2 minutes, do we have 2 minutes?
Where are the rest of the
Real
letters?
quick.
We have time. I just want to.
sure.
I want to get him like.
Yes.
We'll do.
Stay tuned for the
Yeah,
post
yeah.
track.
Yeah, for the post track, we'll do a little
Oh
interview.
yes, for sure.
Yep. All right. Well, anything else, Osman?
Just want to know where the rest of those letters are.
That's all we're going to ask him.
Yep, that's what I will ask him.
Well, we'll leave that.
We'll find that out very soon.
We'll find a nice little tease for the tag end of this. Will be accompanying episode. Will be a little interview here. Mm-hmm. All right. Where can the good kids find you guys, Osman?
At Mr. Lousman on the Twitterverse.
All right.
All right, yeah. Instagram and Twitter, Brewboy813.
All right, and Miss Ashley? Pretzels?
In my mouth. No, you can find me on Instagram at Ashley Margit, Margit on the Instagram.
All right. You can always find me and the cast in general at Brewmasters Club. That is going to be on Instagram, Twitter, Snappy, YouTube,
And the Facebook.
the website, the Facebook group, Craft Brews Geek News. If you search for it, you will find it. We will let you in the group. It's very
Be
exclusive.
nice and I'll let you in.
There's plenty. It's growing, actually. We're up to
Just
like
have
50.
a photo of a beer in your hand, a craft beer in your hand, and
Yeah,
I'll let
there
you
go.
in.
Yeah, we've got some people in there contributing to the conversation.
That's
a lot of
right.
stuff me and Ryan do. We post in there. So, check us out there. And as we say at the end of every podcast episode,
May the force be with you.
good job, Ashley. That's it.
All right.
Stop your timers.
I never started.
He never started.
No, I was just kidding.
Oh, that was great.
So what am I supposed to say at the end?
That's it. Whatever comes to
whatever
mind.
comes to your mind.
Usually it's terrible, so you did much better than most.
Yeah. Every time it's me, it's horrible.
No, man, you have some zingers.
Miller's Ale House.
I could have been like, I've been
You've been listening to the official podcast of the Brewmasters Club, Craft Brews and Geek News. Grab a beer with the guys and be sure to subscribe to catch additional content. Add this podcast to your favorite RSS feed or iTunes. Chat with the guys on Twitter at Brewmasters Club and Facebook and online at www.brewmasters.club. Cheers!